There are many games that I'm looking forward to that are set to release, and this new Warhammer 40k Space Marine 2 game is one of them. And just recently they've released some new 4K Ultra gameplay footage, and it looks like this game is shaping up to be insane, with the graphics, the locations and all the enemies on screen. This is the first gameplay footage trailer I've seen in a while that actually looks like a next gen game. Today I'm going to go through with you guys what this game is, and me being an absolute newbie to the 40k franchise, it's going to be exciting for me to learn all about it. And with Warhammer 40k having such a big fan base, there is a lot of hype for this game, and by the looks of the gameplay footage and everything that this game has to offer, it could turn out to be amazing by the time we get our hands on it. So Space Marines 2 is a highly anticipated sequel to the first game, which I found out came out 10 years ago, so it's safe to say that the Warhammer games have stood the test of time. In the new gameplay footage trailer that was released by the developers Saber Interactive, they shared with us a lot of new information about the game and what to expect when the game gets released on the 9th of September this year, which I will be streaming on my channel. They've also announced that the game will include co-op and PvP, so there is a lot of variety being offered straight away in different ways to play, and that's always refreshing as it gives us players options on what we want our gaming experience to be like. So like its predecessor, this is a third-person shooter game with lots of melee action in it as well, getting up close and personal with your enemies. You are playing as Lieutenant Dimitrian Titus, who is an Ultramarine, so he is a genetically enhanced and engineered super soldier created to be a killing machine on the battlefield against any type of enemies that come his way. Titus was the original protagonist in the previous game, but since then he has been demoted to Lieutenant. Space Marines 2 takes place a century after the events of the first game, and if you didn't know how the first game ended like myself, and I apologise if I messed this up, but the antagonists from the previous game were the forces of chaos, and they were able to disrupt the barrier between the immaterium and the physical universe around them enough to summon monsters pretty much, from a parallel dimension known as the Warp. Things can get pretty confusing, so I'm just trying to keep it as simple as I can so I don't confuse myself or you guys, but obviously not you hardcore Warhammer fans. Titus fought the Chaos Lord Nemeroth in the finale of the first game and defeated him, but in doing so he was exposed to the warp energy, and one of his fellow marines, Leandros, thought he had been corrupted by the chaos based on Titus's resistance to it. Titus then agreed to go with the Inquisitor Thrax to be investigated on charges of heresy, which of course he denied. Fast forward 100 years, and Titus has rejoined the Ultramarines, but he is still demoted and must prove himself once more, as there is still a lot of distrust amongst the other Space Marines. Since the previous game though, Titus has undergone something called the Rubicon Primaris, which is a process that transforms him from a firstborn Marine into a Primaris Space Marine who are taller and stronger, so he's been drinking that growth hormone and eating his protein. But as you can expect, he gets dropped into the thick of it all when he gets sent to the jungle world of Kadaku after it was invaded by the Tyranids. And if you don't know what the Tyranids are, which I'm sure a lot of you watching do, they are considered humanity's most fearsome, gruesome and relentless enemies that will stop at nothing until all but death is left in their wake. But if you thought he was doing it alone, you're wrong, as he is joined by his battle brothers Chiron and Galadriel, who if you are used to playing on your own will be controlled by AI, but if you have two teammates to play with you, you can complete the whole campaign through co-op, which is a pretty nice feature. What makes this even better is that it's a seamless drop-in, drop-out style of co-op, and in my opinion playing this game in co-op is the only way and best way to play and experience this game. It's always more fun to play with friends in any type of game, but when you're going up against swarms of enemies, it's just going to make the experience so much better. One game that comes to mind straight away is Helldivers. I cannot play that game without friends, it's way too fun. Something that is very impressive about Space Marines 2 is that the devs have incorporated something they are calling Swarm Tech, which enables them to render hundreds of real enemies on screen without any visual fidelity, and some of the clips we are watching during this video is a good example of that in use. This same engine was actually used in another one of Saber Active's games, which is World War Z, but in Space Marines 2 the engine has obviously been upgraded, and rightly so, as the quality of the swarms you can see looks so good. During the campaign, us as the players will be going deep into the jungles of Kadaku and lots of other undisclosed locations which all look so well polished, which they haven't yet talked about, but I'm sure we'll see very soon as September is not far away. After every mission, you'll be going back to the Battle Barge, which is the headquarters for the Space Marines. Here you can interact with characters on board the ship and customize your loadout for your next mission, and there are so many to choose from. Examples of this would be weapons for long, medium and short range engagements, and melee weapons for, like I said in the video already, for getting up close and personal with your enemies. One weapon in particular that stands out to me is the chainsword, which is simply a chainsaw on a sword. I can't wait to turn the Turnid scum into pulp with that thing. There is also a flamethrower and a melter rifle which looks super fun to use from the clips used in the trailer. So there are many ways to engage with the enemy, you'll be happy to know, whatever your playstyle may be. The game in a way is almost encouraging you to fight in close quarters, as performing a melee finishing move will replenish your armor, but this could also mean you'll have to balance out the way you use your weapons in the way that you have to in the new Doom games, for example. Certain weapons for certain enemies, if you know what I mean, as you'll constantly be taking damage and having to perform finishing moves to replenish your armor. You'll have to keep Tidus's armor up in order to not take damage to your actual health, and if you do take damage to your health, you'll find health in the form of medkits, which I'm assuming are placed around the map. So keeping your armor up is going to be important, just like any other game in that aspect. And what better way to do that than performing finishing moves on your enemies? So all of that is the campaign side of things, and like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, there are other game modes which include a co-op game mode and PvP game modes. If you enjoy co-op style gaming, Operations is a replayable mode that you can jump in with 2 friends. In this mode you can customize your Space Marine with cosmetics and emblems, while also progressing through 6 specialist classes: Tactical, Assault, Vanguard, Bulwark, Sniper and Heavy, all with unique skills, looks and abilities. There seems to be a class for everyone again to match your playstyle, and as the difficulty increases you will need all of your squad mates to be working together to complete the mission. The more missions you complete, the more cosmetics you'll unlock, both for your Space Marine and weapons. On top of this you'll earn XP and armory data, which you can then use to get new perk classes. There are up to 25 classes, so lots of customization, and you can also improve your weapons performance with the armory on the battle barge. Weapons also have different versions of themselves that you can work towards, with Relic being the best version. And now, last but not least, we have Eternal War mode, which is the PvP game modes that Space Marines 2 has to offer. Seeing it for face value, it really reminds me of the Gears of War PvP mode, and this could be so much fun with friends. It's a 6v6 versus mode where you fight other online players. There are 3 modes so far that we know of. One of them is called Annihilation Deathmatch, which sounds like a team deathmatch, so maybe first team to reach the target kills wins kind of thing. Siege Ground, which sounds more like a strategic mode, and then Capture and Control. Just like the Operations co-op game mode, each match will allow you to earn XP and armory data to improve your Space Marine and weapons. The game devs at Saber Interactive have also confirmed that the game will receive new operation missions, new PvP maps, new enemies and new weapons post-launch, and regular free updates. Also, Chapter Heraldry will be released as part of the Season Pass with no microtransactions or in-game cash shop involving premium currency. So this game feels like it's going to be very generous to its audience, and in my opinion that's a nice thing to see with so much effort and support being put into the game. This is a leading example of what a AAA game looks like pre-launch. Overall, for someone like myself who is a complete novice to the whole lore side of things, to this huge world that is Warhammer 40k, this game really captivated my attention, and when I looked into it more, I'm really excited for this game to come out, giving us the true sense of a galactic bloody war which is Space Marines 2. I'll definitely be streaming this as soon as it comes out, and if you want to join me and my war brothers while we rid Kaduku and other planets of the Tyrannid Plate, make sure you subscribe with notifications on so you don't miss it. I'd love to hear all of your thoughts and feelings on what you think Space Marines 2 will bring to the table, and are you guys excited for it down in the comments. And if you enjoyed the video guys, I'd really appreciate it if you leave it a like, it helps me out so much. So that's all I have to say about Space Marines 2 for now, and I'll catch you all on the next video guys.